Bonds. Municipal bonds. What are they? Why do cities use them? And why in the 007 should you care? These are all great questions for Common Sense, where we remove the mystery from how Allen gets and spends its money. Municipal bonds are a type of debt that cities use to finance big projects. It's sort of like taking out a loan to buy a house. It spreads out the cost over a longer period of time instead of paying in one lump sum. And since voters decide whether to issue bonds, this often leads to questions about how it all works. First, why don't taxes cover the cost of projects in bond propositions? When you pay property taxes, most of that money goes into the general fund, which funds the annual cost of city services, like paying police officers, gassing up fire trucks, and ordering books for the library. But sometimes there is a need for a major project that goes beyond those annual costs. It's sort of like when people need to replace the roof of their house. The upfront cost isn't something your annual budget can usually cover, so you take out a loan to spread the payments over time. Now, some might say, I try to avoid taking on debt to pay for things. Why shouldn't the city do the same? It's a good question. Dave Ramsey and Susie Orman don't want you taking on debt to buy a boat, a TV, or a pair of Jimmy Choos, and saving up for those things can make sense. For cities, the idea of saving up money is a little trickier. Right now, the city only receives the taxes it needs to operate. So if the city wanted to save up for a big project, it would have to collect more taxes from residents. That way, the extra money could be put in a savings account until a necessary project pops up. Now, it could be decades before we need a specific roadway expansion, for example. And say you move out of Allen before then, you'd have been paying all those extra taxes for a road that you'll never drive on. For a lot of people, that just doesn't seem fair. So, are there other ways to pay for bond projects? The short answer is yes. The long answer is yes, but it comes with some challenges that taxpayers might not like any better. Here's an example. In 2016, Allen voters approved bond funding to build Fire Station 6. If that bond hadn't passed, the city would be left with two options. Number one, not fund a station at all. In that case, residents might have to wait longer for help in an emergency, and that option might save money, but for some, the trade-off isn't worth it. Option number two, start paying construction costs out of the annual operating budget. But what funds the annual budget? Property taxes. So to pay for the fire station, taxpayers would see a big one-time hit to their tax rate to cover it, and that's a really hard thing to ask. It's also considered somewhat unfair, as people and businesses who move into Allen after the station opens will enjoy all the services without paying any of the construction costs. Also, some people wonder if bond propositions don't pass, would taxpayers get some money back? That's sort of like a first-time home buyer asking, if I don't take out a loan for this home, can I have some of that money anyway? Without issuing debt through bond funding, that money simply doesn't exist. The final question isn't one the city can answer for you. Should Allen issue bonds or not? Residents get to vote on whether or not to issue bonds. Each bond proposition is tied to a very specific set of projects that was determined by a community-led committee. So when bond elections come up, it's important to do your research, then head to the polls. Your vote will ultimately determine how your community meets your needs and the needs of your neighbors for years to come. And that may be the best definition of common sense.